Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So here, remember, up to this stage here, you don't really fully understand this symbol here. You don't really fully understand this symbol here. As far as you're concerned, all that's required of you is that you have to search for something that when you differentiate it, it will give you this integrand here. Okay? As far as you're concerned, that's all that you understand at the moment. So looking at this here, how would you go about evaluating this? You have to search for something that when you differentiate it, it will give you this. And remember, you have to keep an eye on this. Keep an eye out for anything in this form here. If anything is of this form here, then you know your guess should be the inverse sign of x, or maybe kx. If you differentiate this, it will give you something like this. Or, well, if you look at this form here, this is in a way like this. This is in a way like this, where k happens to be 1 here. So this here is 1. Well, if you look at, well, you're trying to look for something that when you differentiate it, it will give you this. But then if you try and differentiate inverse of tan, it will give you 1 over this thing here, x squared here. So this is very well. Looking at this here, it's very similar to this. So this here tan could be your guess, but then also you have to think of it like this as well, because if you look at this here, if you try and differentiate this here, it will give you 1 over something, but then you have to times with the derivative of the bubble itself. So if you look at this here, if you put 1 plus x squared in here, when you differentiate this here, it will give you this 1 plus x squared, and then you've got to times with the differential of the bubble itself, which would be 2x. You multiply it to the top, that will give you 2x over 1 plus this here. You see, this is very close to this, but it's still not exactly the same. Well, the trick here is to split this thing up. Well, that's the only clue that I'm giving you. So press pause and have a go. How would you evaluate this here? Yeah, think about it. Okay, so press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this here, break this up. Break this up into two fractions here. So you've got one fraction here and one fraction here. If you look at this term here, if you look at this term here, if you put 1 plus x squared in here, if you differentiate this, it will give you this 1 plus x squared, and then times with the differential of the bubble itself. So that will give you this. So here it gets multiplied to the top. So but we don't want this 2. We don't want this 2 here. We want the 3. So now adjust the original guess here. So let's negate the 2 first. So at the moment it's 2 there. So if we do this here, then that will kill off that 2 immediately. But then we want the 3. So let's times it by 3. So here. So there, if you try and differentiate this here, it will give you this term here. Okay, and now looking at this here, if you differentiate tan, if you differentiate the inverse of tan, it will give you this. Okay, so but the thing is, we don't want the 1, we want the 7. So make the adjustment on our initial guess. Our initial guess was this here. If we stick a 7 in front of it, then when you differentiate this here, it will give you this. Okay, so now this here would give us this thing here. Okay, remember the negative. So overall, if you try and evaluate this, here, it will give you this. Hang on. So evaluating this whole thing here, it will give you this. So this thing here, so that's this bit here. Okay, and then this 7 here, inverse of 10 will be here, and remember the minus here. Okay, and then you've got your constant. So the overall answer is this. Oh, by the way, when you're up here, by right we should use the absolute value here. This will be 1 plus x squared, and then 1 plus x squared, and then 2x here. But yes, the answer here should be the log of the absolute value of that thing there. But then if you look at the bubble itself, it's being squared here, so we don't really need to consider the negative version. We don't need to consider the negative version. So yes, we could write it. Yes, we could write it like this. Yes, we could write it like this: natural log and then absolute of 1 plus x squared here. We could write it like this, or you can just leave it as this. It will be the same thing because of this squared here. It will rid of the negative. Okay. So overall, your solution here would be this. Okay.